Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Jamie MacDonald here, and I'm doing that thing that I seem to do a lot of, and that is stop on my commute home, do a little bit of landscape and wildlife photography. And as you can hear by the traffic going by, I'm literally just pulled off on the side of the road on this country highway here in Michigan, and going to take advantage of some of the light that I see coming off of the fields out here. Right now I'm shooting with the 40 to 150 f2.8 Pro on the Olympus OMD EM1. And I know you're probably wondering, what on earth are you doing shooting landscape with a 40 to 150? Well, I'll tell you. I find sometimes that you just want to get out of the norm and shoot a little differently. And shooting landscapes, in my mind, with a telephoto lens offers you some unique perspectives. So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm capturing this large tree that's out here in the distance with some of these white clouds that are kind of moving across the landscape. And like I said, it gives just a different look than what one might normally expect to see from a landscape shot. So I'll sit here and take a few more shots and I'll move on to another spot down the road. And in case you're wondering how I'm shooting this right now, I'm shooting in Aperture Priority mode. And what I'm doing is I'm metering by using auto exposure lock. I'm metering off of a lighter spot in the scene and then kind of recomposing. So for instance, right here, I'm zoomed into the tree, filling in a lot of the scene, and then I'm raising my camera up just a little bit up past it until in my live view display I have an evenly exposed scene, and then I hit the auto exposure lock button, lock in my exposure, and snap that photo. And of course I'll share these on the video that I'm going to put together about this after I'm done. And I think I'm going to walk just a little bit further down here and get a little bit different of a look here. So yeah, you see the car parked there just on the side of the road. Forgot to put my hazards on. So do as I say and not as I do, and remember to try to keep your hazards on so people see your car and what you were doing. You don't want to get hit out here on the side of the road, trust me. Alright, so I got my shot. And I think I'm going to move on to another place. Alright, so I changed my mind. I'm going to stay here for a few more minutes. We've got some nice dark clouds rolling in, and I think it's probably a good time for me to break out the new Imzuiko 7 to 14mm f2.8 Pro. And do the exact opposite of what I was doing just a second ago, which is telephoto landscape shooting, and now I'm going to go ultra wide. So I'll take the 40 to 150 off the camera here, which will be fun with the camera mounted to my camera. So bear with me here. Might get a little seasick. We're going to take that off. Put this one on. Woo! It's kind of scary sitting next to the car when people are driving by like this, but alright, so now I've got the 7 to 14 on, and I almost left and decided, after seeing these wild daylilies on the side of the road, I thought, you know what, I think I'm going to incorporate them into a shot. They've got this nice old wooden fence post here, and man, I just like I have a photo in my mind, and I'm hoping that I can get that. And I figure that if I'm going to be able to do it, this is the lens that's going to do it for me. So, and I think this is exactly what I was hoping to get. slightly different angle here. That's the money right there. This lens is phenomenal. We'll get right down inside of the weeds here. Again, custom metering for the scene using auto exposure lock, and also shooting at f8, so I can get a greater depth of field. I mean, you're going to get a pretty deep depth of field anyways at 7mm, but f8 just kind of ensured for me that I was getting a little bit more of the foreground in focus as well. So alright, let me put the lens cap back on this big awesome lens here. We'll jump in the car and we'll head down the road a little bit further and see what else we can see. Alright, so one more stop on the road. Cornfield, soybean crop on the left, corn on the right. Just a nice country scene. Again, you know, I'm all about the clouds and the scenery here, so just give you an idea the landscape I'm in. You know, it's typical Michigan countryside. Went through a little bit of rain on the way here and decided I liked this dark band of clouds coming right here. So if I can pose right, add a little bit of drama to what would probably just be an ordinarily normal looking photo. Still shooting with the 7-14 as well. So I'm pointing up right now, and what I'm doing again is, you know, kind of my MO, the way that I work is I'm not all the way up into the brightest part of the scene. I'm about midway down, and then I hit my auto exposure lock. I'm exposing, like, I guess in the middle of the exposure range of this scene. I've got over here to my right this fence post that's anchoring the corner of my scene right here. I'm going to rock the camera back just a little bit because I want a lot of sky in my photo. And we've got the leading lines of the two crops going into the distance, and I'm going to snap this one. And now you have to bear with me because the video is going to get a little wonky because I'm going into portrait mode, portrait orientation, which is what I love to do with a landscape shot with an ultra wide. So I turned auto exposure lock off. I'm going to grab exposure there and focus. Oh, let's see, hold on. Must have bumped my aperture there. So now I'm at f9. Get my focus point. I don't have the fence post in this shot right now. There we go. Cool. 2 shots. I think that's all I wanted to get out of this. And jump back in the car, head back down the road, and see what else I can see. And thanks a lot for coming along with me on this ride. Pretty cool. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Jamie MacDonald here, and I'm back home after my 30-minute commute from work. And I decided I would just jump right into doing a little bit of processing on the images that I shot on that drive. And I think I'm going to work on 2 in particular that I'm really excited to do. And that is one of the daylily shots that I had done, where I got right down in the weeds with the Imzuiko 7-14 f2.8 Pro. And I am also thinking about working on either this post that you didn't see me shoot, but it was in the same location. I had turned off recording of the video and started to get into the car and noticed this fence post, and just as I was kind of checking that out is when the darkest part of the clouds rolled into the scene, so I shot that. So it's probably daylilies in this post, or maybe this one, which you did see me arrive at, which was towards the end of my drive. But first, let's get rocking and rolling on the daylilies. And trying to figure out which one I like the most, and I think I'm kind of fond of the one where I'm actually right inside of them. My workflow for this is incredibly simple. They've already been imported into Lightroom. And I'm just going to jump into the develop module, and instantly I'm going to leave the develop module, and I'm going to go to export with preset, and I'm going to work in HDRFX Pro 2. So I just export that out, and as you've seen from previous videos from me, I have kind of like this starting point that I work with, and that's already using one of the canned presets in here, and in this case it's deep number 2. And I like to use this as, you know, the beginning for me, and that preset has the blacks cranked all the way up to 100% in order to bring out as much detail in the shadow. So all the blacks have been cranked up really high, and I'm not trying to get every single bit of information out of those shadows, so I'll start lowering the blacks back down. And in doing that, you get rid of that haziness that appears when you try to overexpose those shadows. And right now the whites have been turned down. Again, this is an attempt in their preset to try to tone down any blown out highlights. And the way I had custom metered using auto exposure lock, I shouldn't have had any overexposed whites anyways. If they were barely overexposed. So I'm going to probably raise the whites up just a little bit past what it was at. And I kind of like where I'm going with this right now. I will increase the structure a little bit, just because I want a lot of detail in the clouds. But if you start raising it up too much, you'll end up with some graining or artifacting in your shadow areas. So I won't go overboard with that. And I think I like where I'm at with this right now, so I'll just save this back into Lightroom. Alright, and it's funny because I noticed that sometimes when I work this way, when the images come back into Lightroom, for whatever reason, it doesn't show up down here in my little library down here, so I end up having to jump back out into the library module, which I hate doing. And I click on another set of images and then go back into the library I was working from, and then now you can see at the bottom of the screen it has actually shown up in there. So there we go. So now we're back into Lightroom, and then what am I going to do from here that I couldn't do somewhere else? Well, for one thing, I'm going to crop in just a little bit because I want to get this daylily that's in the side out, and then also by cropping, what I end up with is a better composition in my mind by having, there we go, by having this post sitting over in this spot. I usually crop using, that's called the golden ratio. It kind of works as well as, sort of in a way like the rule of thirds would work. So that's just one of the things that I like to do compositionally. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is something that's new in Lightroom CC. It's not available in previous versions of Lightroom, and it's gotten a lot of press lately, not just because of what it can do regarding what it was technically quote-unquote designed for, but what it does to images that it wasn't really designed to work on. That is the dehaze tool. So the dehaze tool was created so that if you're shooting a landscape and you get that, well, haze that falls across the landscape, you know, whether it's from fog rolling in, or I've even seen people using it to kind of tone down the effects of snow in a scene. But what happens when you use dehaze on a scene that isn't hazy, in my mind, is pretty incredible. And hopefully it carries through in the video here, but it brings out so much definition and detail that wasn't there before that it's almost startling. So here we are with 0 of the dehaze added, and then if I crank it up to like 22 or 23, even all the way up here, we'll go 27. There's a ton more detail that comes out in this photo. And in all honesty, I am just about done with this. I think the only other thing that I'm probably going to do is I'm going to work on the saturation just in the blues. So we've got a little bit of blue sky peeking through there, and I'm going to increase the saturation on that. And it does affect these heavier, darker gray clouds, but that's fine with me. I don't mind the way that that works. And I think that, in all honesty, that's probably it. Maybe I'll just bump the oranges just a little bit in these daylilies, as well as the yellow that shows up inside of them and on the undersides. And we'll kind of tame this green down just a little bit. There, I think I like the finished product there. So from here I would just export it out and call her good. And I won't drag this out any longer by showing you the processing on the next photo, because it's probably going to be pretty much the same technique that I'm using here. I might alter things a little bit, but I don't think I will, just because this technique lends itself very well to these types of scenes with the heavy dramatic skies. And I think that's it. I'm glad you guys tuned in to watch this, and I appreciate that you do subscribe and click the like button when you do enjoy the videos. And I love listening to your guys' feedback. So don't hesitate to leave comments below, and I will talk to you guys later. Get out there and go shooting.